Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics, and boy do I have a haul and speculation video for you today, because last week I had my greatest haul of all time. So I recently came into contact with someone who is looking to help her friend sell a beautiful comic collection that he's put together over the years of mostly Bronze Age books. And I'm hoping over time to pick up several books from him, but I started off getting three awesome keys from the Bronze Age that I am so excited to add to my personal collection. So what were they? Well, let's get started with this one. Amazing Spider-Man number 129, which of course contains the first appearance of the Punisher. Now, there are a lot of comic YouTubers at the beginning of the year that put out a video of like the top 5 or top 10 books that they were looking to get in 2022. And I almost did that, but I ran out of time, especially if you've been watching my videos. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we lost power at my house for 5 days because of a snowstorm. So kind of all the extra videos got kicked to the curb. But if I had made a top 5 video for 2022, this book was going to be on it. It's one that I was planning to hunt this year. And so I am super excited that it's not even the end of January yet, and I have been able to add this book to my collection. Now, why was I especially looking to get this book this year? Well, of course, it's a beautiful key, the first appearance of the Punisher that I'm excited about, and I love that character. And also, if you watch my videos, you know in the long term, I'm looking to put together a full run of the Amazing Spider-Man. And this, of course, is certainly the biggest key of the Bronze Age. But I was especially looking to pick it up this year because I think by next year, this book is going to rise in value quite a bit. Because I think sooner rather than later, the Punisher is going to come into the MCU. And of course, when characters do that, their books grow in value quite a bit. And there are rumors that it could even show up in the upcoming Moon Knight show. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it does. The sooner we get the Punisher, the better. Again, I love that character. And it seems pretty likely that when he comes to the MCU, he's going to be portrayed by Jon Bernthal, who portrayed the character in the Netflix series Punisher, which I'm super excited about. I love that series. I love Jon Bernthal. And so I really am excited that he's almost certain to be the Punisher again in the MCU, just like Charlie Cox came over and is going to be Daredevil. So I don't think he's going to be in Moon Knight, but I personally think probably the latest he will show up is in the Armor War series that will probably come out in 2023. The reason I think that, there's been pictures of him and Don Cheadle together, which if you probably know, who is the War Machine character who is confirmed to be in Armor Wars. And there's a storyline in the comics where the Punisher takes on the War Machine armor. And so I think the comics that are associated with that, which I think are Punisher 218 and 219, are good, much smaller keys to consider investing in, certainly more budget friendly than this. Because I think there's a really great chance that the Punisher takes on the War Machine mantle, at least at some part in that series. I mean, I don't know if he'll stay War Machine forever, but at least maybe for a couple of episodes. And so I think the Punisher will be here by the end of 2023, which is the reason why I wanted to pick this book up in 2022 while it was still, somewhat affordable. And I'm just super happy to get one of my favorite characters of all time in comics, an all-time grail for me. Super pumped. All right, the second book I wasn't planning to pick up this year is actually, I've kind of sketched out books I want to pick up in the next maybe 3 or 4 years. And this was going to be on my to-get list for 2023 because I think I've got a year before this book really goes in value, but it's one that, again, I've wanted for a long time. Didn't expect to get it this year, but got a real fair, good price on these books. And when you get the chance to pick them up, you just feel like you got to do it. And it's this one, Giant Size X-Men #1, which contains the first appearance, of course, of Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler and Thunderbird, and the third appearance of Wolverine. And so a lot of super cool characters, first appearances. Again, a book that is sought after by pretty much any comic collector, and one that will, again, certainly go up in value once the X-Men come to the MCU. I think that will happen after the Punisher, personally. I mean, we don't know. That's just my guess, and so that's why I was prioritizing the Punisher this year, getting this one next year. But man, I can't believe it. I've already got it this year. Again, we're not even past the end of January. I've been jealous. I've seen some, I've got some YouTubers I watched who already picked up big books in January and were checking off their list already. And I wasn't having much success the first few weeks, but this last week has been a great one. And so I am super happy to have this book as well. And then the third one, another big one that wasn't even really on my radar screen to get anytime soon. And I'm actually, in a few weeks, there'll be a video where I kind of talk about why. So I don't want to spoil too much about it. But again, when you get the chance to pick up a book like this at a decent price, you just got to do it. I think, and I obviously don't make sure you pay your bills or whatever. But this Incredible Hulk 181. Which of course is considered at least the first full appearance of Wolverine. If you watch my videos, there's some kind of debate because he shows up on the last page of issue 180. What's his true first appearance? So this is the market, is valued this book the most. This is the one that's the most valuable, and of course is the first cover appearance of Wolverine. And so, again, another book that I am super happy to add to my collection. And something I love about the first two books, all the wear is on, or most of the wear is on the back cover. And so their grade-wise condition is I mean, it's not low grade, but it's lower than it looks like, lower than it presents. And that's how I like to buy my comics. Yeah, give me the creases on the back cover, because then it brings the value and the price down. But it looks great. Unfortunately, this one isn't the case. The wear, looks like somebody spilled something here. I think you might be able to see it around the U. And there's a little bit of staining there. So that's too bad, but it's such an awesome book that you just have to overlook things like that when you have the opportunity to buy a book like this again at a fair price. And so I am really, I'm sure you can tell, excited to pick up these three books. And I'm really thankful for the seller who gave me the opportunity to put them in my collection. And I am hoping to add, again, some more from that seller in the not too distant future. And I was able to reach a cool deal with this seller. If you've seen my videos, you know that I've done this with several sellers now. And this is one of the great things about having this channel. I'm able, when I'm negotiating with the seller, I sometimes will send a video to them about this deal that I've made where I buy the book from them at a conservative grade, because obviously that's the big risk in when you're buying raw books. Well, what if I think it's a certain grade and I go send it off and then it comes back lower, than I've lost a lot of money on that investment. Was able to reach a deal that I've reached with other sellers where I bought this at a conservative grade, and I'm going to send it off to CGC, and if it comes back at a grade higher than that, then I've agreed that I will send them more money. And I've done that a number of times now with sellers over the past year. I'm still waiting for some of them. I'm still waiting for the books to come back so I can fulfill my end of the bargain if they do come back. But I fully plan to do that. The seller, I'm going to send this video to them. I'm certainly going to fulfill my end of the bargain if these books do come back at a higher grade than I bought them for. And that's like a win-win. They clearly obviously get the money. I'm more willing to pay the money now to get the book. So hopefully that obviously is a big help to them. And then once it comes back, maybe they get more money and provide some safety for both seller and buyer. And it obviously takes a lot of trust. This is someone I'd reached out to who didn't know me, and but I sent some videos where I've talked about making this deal with people, and so this channel has been a really big help in giving me the chance to get some really cool books like this one. All right, well, obviously, these 3 books are huge ones, but I did get a few other books in the mail this week that I'll show you that are much more budget-friendly. And I actually bought these a few weeks ago, but if you've watched my videos, you know that USPS hasn't been the most reliable around these parts over the past year. So it took a while for them to get here, but they finally did. And they're books that I'm really excited to get, and I think these are great books to pick up if you can get them around cover price, which is what I did. These are basically all cover price. First of all, we have Hawkeye number 7, which contains the first appearance of Eleanor Bishop, who of course is Kate Bishop's mother. If you saw the Hawkeye series, you know she had a role in that show. I really enjoyed that character. And I really like the actress Vera Farmiga. I don't know if that's Farmiga. I don't know how exactly you say her name, but I really enjoy her work. I saw her for the first time when she played Norma Bates in the Bates Motel, and I thought she was just a great actress. And so I've always been a big fan of hers since then, and I hope she has a future in the MCU. I think she does. I think she'll come back as they develop the Kate Bishop story. But I've wanted that book, especially since watching the show, and so I am glad I got it. Another Hawkeye book I picked up was Hawkeye number 2 from that same Hawkeye series, and this contains the first appearance of Johnny Watts, who later becomes Fuse and becomes a romantic interest of Kate Bishop. Now, there's been no real rumors of this character showing up in the MCU anytime soon, but I certainly think Kate Bishop has a future, and if she does, then of course I'm certain they'll introduce members of her supporting cast. And so maybe Fuse, Johnny Watts, comes in at some point, and if he does, this book goes for way more than cover value. But if you can get it for cover value, if not, it's just a cool key, a first appearance of a character that is a big part of the Kate Bishop. Especially if you like Kate Bishop, then it's a great key to pick up. I also picked up Astonishing X-Men number 6, which contains the first full appearance of Abigail Brand and the Sword Organization. And so a lot of rumors that character might be in the upcoming Secret Invasion Disney Plus show. And because she and the organization had a big part in that storyline in the comic books. And of course, if she does show up, then this book will go up in value quite a bit. And just this past week, they started releasing some set photos and a teaser trailer of the show. And so, it's right around the corner. And so if you like Abigail Brand, and especially if you think she's going to be in the Secret Invasion show, this is a good book to consider picking up before it goes wild if she does show up. I also got Batman number 1 from the 3rd volume of Batman. This contains the first appearance of Gotham and Gotham Girl. I always love to pick up keys, first appearances of Batman supporting characters, and this book is a book, it's not crazy expensive now. Again, like I got it for cover price, and I don't think it's going to go up anytime soon, but just Batman supporting caches over time at the least, will just gradually go up in value, and so I'm glad to have that one. And that brings me to my sleeper of the week, which is this one, Guardians of the Galaxy number 5, which contains the first full appearance of the Angela character in Marvel Comics. She had a cameo, and I think it's something like Age of Ultron number 10, but this is her first full appearance in Marvel Comics, because she has a really interesting comic history. If you don't know it, she debuted in the Image Comics company, and Spawn number 9, which is also a good book to pick up if you're a fan of this character. But that issue, Spawn's a Todd McFarlane character, of course, was written by Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman invented that character. And then there was a dispute for quite a while between McFarlane and Gaiman, who actually had rights over the character, and it ended up where McFarlane gave Gaiman control over Angela, and then Gaiman went over and did some stuff with Marvel, and he sold the rights of the Angela character to Marvel. And so then Marvel introduced her into their universe, and her story is that she's a sister of Thor. And so I think there's a good chance at some point, as they continue to develop the Thor mythos in the MCU, that they introduce Angela. And if they do, Spawn number 9 is the big one to look for. But this is another great key, kind of secondary key behind that, Guardians of the Galaxy number 5. And even today, I'm even bigger on this issue than I was when I bought it, because I just saw today James Gunn, who's the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, said the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is basically the final film for all of those actors as a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So maybe that franchise just ends and there's never a Guardians of the Galaxy again. But if it continues, the name continues, then they'll have to have a whole new cast of cosmic characters that make up that team. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And there's a lot of good candidates to fill that team. And Angela certainly would be one of them. So not only is she a good spec for Thor, but also a good spec for Guardians of the Galaxy MCU properties. All right, and that brings me to my question of the week. As I mentioned, there's rumors that the Punisher could show up in the Moon Knight series, DC Disney Plus series coming up. Like I said, I don't think he will, but if you haven't seen, there's recently a trailer of that series put out on YouTube. Go watch it if you haven't. Look up Moon Knight trailer. It looks awesome. I'm really pumped about it. And I want to hear, what are you most hoping to happen in that series? Or just something you know that will happen that you're just really looking forward to. I'll say what I would really love to see. Now, I don't think this is going to happen. But at one point, there was rumors that Ethan Hawke villain was going to be Dracula. We didn't know who his character was going to be, and we still don't fully know. But in the trailer, there's closed captions that said he was Arthur Harrow. And so there's a very minor villain in the Moon Knight series called Arthur Harrow. Some people think that the Ethan Hawke might be an amalgamation of certain characters like Arthur Harrow, but also the Sun King, who's another Moon Knight villain. And maybe, maybe some people still think it could still even be Dracula, but it's just a red herring with the closed caption. So who knows? But that's what I hope to see. I really want the Dracula character to be introduced in the MCU. So if I could pick anything to happen, it would be that Dracula comes into the MCU through Moon Knight. I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it does. But regardless, I'm really excited about that series coming up. I think it's going to be an awesome show. I love Oscar Isaac, and I think he's going to hit it out of the park. All right, well, that brings me to the end of this video. Of course, if you have not subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate if you consider doing so. It'd be a big help in getting us to grow. And like the video, comment not just about the question, but any other thing with comics that you're interested in. But I hope you enjoyed it. I always enjoy making them, and I'll see you in the next one.